Last week on the Nicoletti Show, Jay Conner, the private money authority. Jay,
using private money puts you in control of your business. We set the interest rate, we set the term, we set the frequency of payments. The success in private money all starts with owning the real estate in between your ears. It is impossible for you to fail unless you choose to quit. I just didn't wake up one morning and say, hey, I think I'll go raise some private money. First time we got involved with private money, it tripled our business and took us to over $1 million net in just the first year. It's called the 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate business and help you build incredible wealth. This will get your people on the fast track to getting in control of their business. And it's free, absolutely free. Do not make this business complicated. Keep it simple. The money comes first. Get yourself a coach or mentor to work with. Do not go this alone. It'll save you a ton of mistakes and money.
thank you so much again. You were awesome.
Thank you.
That was a blast with Jay Conner 2 weeks ago. Can't believe it's 2 weeks ago. That was so much fun. And he talked about so many things in the private money world. If you didn't get a chance to go watch that episode, you got to go check that out. I'm back, everybody. It's been 2 weeks. I know you all miss me. I was on the road. It's been crazy. I don't feel like I've been traveling that much, but everybody I see says I'm traveling and going all over the place. And it's been 2 weeks since the last episode. So I'm so happy to be back. This is going to be a super special episode. I can't wait to bring on the guest. I'm sure you all have seen, I've been promoting him the whole week. I mean, I can't wait to have him on. He is full of knowledge, wealth, of golden nuggets in what he does when it comes to cash flow. So I, of course, want to introduce him and get him on the show. But I got to tell you, it's been a wild 2 weeks traveling around. I can't believe I'm sitting here right now. It's been wild. Basically, just so you all know, I went from Jacksonville to Tampa, and then I was in Tampa. Then I went down to Naples, and then I went over to Miami and shot back up to Jacksonville. So I literally did a tour in 2 weeks around Florida. I can't believe it. I'm alive. I'm still here. So it's going to be a blast, and I hope you all stay tuned. Get out your pad, get your pen, get ready to load up on notes when we bring on David Richter, because this is going to be great. Stay tuned. And if you haven't seen all the guests on the Nicoletti Show, make sure you go back and see it on YouTube, on iTunes and Spotify, and check out the Facebook page and Instagram, where we're constantly dropping content. And by the way, just so everybody knows, the YouTube channel just hit 1,000 subscribers. I can't believe it finally hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm so excited. It's taken a while, all organic. And growing a channel is a lot of work and takes a lot of different videos and posting. So if you go check it out, you got to see it, all the videos, all the great guests. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I'm so happy. People are tuned in. I see it right there. People are tuned in. So stay tuned. All of you I got to do my monologue, my opening. So I hope you enjoy the show. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. My name is Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate. And of course, as you know, going beyond, we're bringing on big people. Big people. These are high level, high energy people in our industry that are killing it and can help provide all the value to you on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show today, I got the super investor, master of cash flow, David Richter. I love this guy. Every time I see David, it puts a smile on my face. He's just so humble. He's great spirited, good spirited. And I mean, I love what he brings to the table. And he's just full of knowledge, full of golden nuggets in our industry in real estate. So I want to give you a little background before I bring him on. He has been doing over 850 deals in the last 7 years in wholesale, in turnkey, and all these owner finance and BRRRRs and rentals and lease options. And he's been in a unique opportunity to be a real estate investor. So he's seen that side of the business. He's seen everything on the investing side of the business. And he just wrote a book. If you go back to the previous Al Nicoletti episodes, this book has been on the shelf for the last 2 months. And he launched this over I think the Christmas break. He killed it on his book launch. Profit First for Real Estate Investing. I want to make sure it's not crooked. Profit First for Real Estate Investing, and transforming your real estate investing business from a cash eating monster to a money making machine. He's got so much. Yeah, here we go. He's got so much knowledge when it comes to cash flow. It's unbelievable. So his goal is to completely transform real estate investing. And when it comes to real estate investors, how they view their finances, and he wants to bring financial clarity and freedom to every investor so they can start living their ideal dream, their ideal life. I can't say enough about David. Without further ado, let's bring him on. David Richter, you're the man. You're the man.
Man.
I love seeing you, man.
Yeah, likewise. This is incredible. That I just need you to do every introduction ever for me. I love your energy, and Al, it was great seeing you last week in person as well too. And I'm very that's quite a tour that you took around the state of Florida too. You are getting out there, and I love that you're helping people as well too. So I'm incredibly honored to be on your show.
Thanks, man. I mean, I love seeing you last week. We had a blast. I mean, so many takeaways from a great event, and it's so great to do it with people like you that understand the industry. You see things from a different level, from a different perspective. So I want everybody to know like where this perspective and background came from. Tell everybody like, how did you even get into that real estate world? As I do with all my guests, I love to know, and they love to know, where you come from and how you got into it. And we're going to dive in on your epic book on Profit First. Let's hear all about it.
So I was given a book changed my life as well too, not just Profit First, but Rich Dad Poor Dad. So a lot of real estate investors get their start there, but in college, a good friend of mine gave me that book, and it unlocked a lot of mindset for me of totally different way of thinking. And I did. I went out right away, bought a house, fixed it up, rented it out. You know, I got the real estate bug and wanted to actually get into real estate and do the action steps, and lived in that house for a little bit. Turned out to be a great first deal. I lease optioned it after we moved out of that place, and the guy was super tenant, cashed me out like 6 months later with his option agreement. So I'm like, this is incredible. So I want to keep doing this. So it got me into real estate, and I started working with an investing company up in where I used to live. And I got a crash course and got to sit in all the different seats and acquisitions to selling the property to project management, property management, the finance seat, and got to see a bunch of different exit strategies and started building my own rental portfolio too. It was just incredible time, and I really got the real estate bug then. But it was Rich Dad Poor Dad that kicked it all off and kind of took me down that rabbit hole, and then started. I really wanted to see not only how be a real estate investor, but how a small business was working, because they were doing about 5 to 7 deals already a month. And I joined that group, and that was an incredible experience. So that's how I got my feet wet in real estate investing.
Amazing. It all starts with Rich Dad, Poor Dad for a lot of people. We got Matt Andrews watching. Matt,
Boom.
you're the man. I love Matt. You know, I mean, it is amazing what Matt's been doing with the Family Mastermind. It's amazing. And I love it. I love what he's doing. I love that I got to meet you, David. It's great. I'm so happy he's watching right now. I see him. And Dom's watching too. Dom, I love you, man. I see him watching. So we got people watching tonight, David, that, you know, a lot of the fans are going to be chiming in and hearing all about your background. But, you know, it's interesting where everybody comes from, and Rich Dad Poor Dad is where a lot of investors, you know, if you asked an audience about how did they get started in investing, it was Rich Dad Poor Dad. So, what in particular with that book and that background really led you to, okay, I'm going to get into real estate investing? But a lot of investors, when they invest in property, they can lose a lot of money and all the costs and things that they normally don't. You don't want to lose all that cash flow. How did you learn how to start saving and shifting into a world of we need to save more so we can scale more?
Yeah. Great question. So I was working with this company and we were doing, like when we first started, there was about 5, 7 wholesale deals a month. And over the course of the next 5 years, we built that company from like 5 employees to like 25 employees, from 5 deals a month, to about 25 to 30 deals a month, doing around 300 deals a year and all different exit strategies. And one of the seats that I sat in was the finance seat, near the end of my tenure there and for the last year. And because a lot of people think, oh, he's got to have to, I mean, look at him. He looks like an accountant. But no, I do not have an accounting degree or background. And I'm a real estate investor at heart, but I did like the numbers. And so Rich Dad Poor Dad connected with me because he took like, there's the language of business and it's accounting and the numbers, and you have to translate that into how do you really get out of your rat race, and how do you get out of the rat race. And like, you don't have to go to college, you don't have to go to school to be able to learn and study and that stuff. So that's what connected with me. But while I was sitting in the seat of the finance seat at that real estate investing company, and as we were growing and scaling, that's where I was like, I went to the CPA and said, you need to teach me, like, where does all this go, how does this work, like, what are you doing, like, show me this. And I did. So like, I deep dove into the numbers, into the books, into the finances, and then came out on the other side like, wow, like this makes sense. Like, I understand now, from marketing the property all the way to selling it or renting it, like how this all the money flows through the company, which was a great experience. And it also revealed that even though it sounds real sexy and real fun to do like 25, 30 deals a month, as much as was coming in, that much or more was going out like every month too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why are we killing ourselves? Like, why are we doing 25 to 30 deals a month? So that to me was kind of like the wake up call of like, I bet you a lot of other people are doing this, or like, I bet you a lot of other investors have this, because we go to masterminds and, you'd hear like all the deals that they're doing, but, behind closed doors, it's like, oh man, they're not, where's all my cash? So I knew that was kind of the rumblings of, you know, it's got to be an epidemic here of, yeah, you might be on the outside looking like, oh, we're doing great, but like, even if you're doing a lot of deals, are you really keeping that? So that was the first thing that even sparked it, of what you were saying, like, what got me into the saving it versus just, keep going deal to deal. And that was the very first thing, because those people that worked there were my friends. They were people that survived the 2008, 2009 crash and coming out on the other side. I'm like, I bled for them. Like, I don't want you guys just, I don't want us to keep doing all these deals and not see something at the end of the day. And that to me was a big wake up call of like, we got to fix this problem. And I bet you there's a lot of other people in this boat too. So it's kind of what got me down that road.
No, that's fascinating. So what year did you get started? Were you right after the bubble? Right
So
after the crash area?
2012, that was
Okay.
the when I first bought my first house. I was 20 years old and bought it then. So yeah, that's kind of when I got started in real estate investing. It was really easy to buy properties at that time. Like, we were putting in, I think, 3 to 5 thousand offers a week on the HUD home store, like across, 3 or 4 different states. So like, we were putting in a crazy amount of offers at that time, because there was just foreclosures everywhere, that you would sneeze and find a good deal back then. So we were just picking up deals left and right. So that's kind of where I got into the game at that time.
Awesome. No, this is going to be great. So many investors are, whether they're just starting or they're seasoned, they got to build a team around them, right? It's not just, getting contracts and
Yeah.
reaching out to people and locking up deals. Like you got to build your title, you got to build the CPAs, you got to build financial planners and all of that around you. What were some of the first things and first steps that you did back then that maybe you do differently now? Or what's that advice you would give to people looking back in today? I mean, because we're going to dive in on the book, of course, but building that team, building that infrastructure. Talk to us about that.
So back then, I would focus more on, well, at least with the owner, letting them know like what the repercussions of hiring the people, and making sure we did it in a profitable way. Like, making sure that every decision was made around profitability and not just our perceived problem at that given time, where more thought process around the bigger vision than the fires that are going on right then. Because yes, you need those people, you need your team, you need the great people on your team, and you also have to make sure that the business is not going under as well too. It's Keith Cunningham is one of my favorite business authors, and he says if you try to scale a cancer, the tumor gets bigger. Not, the problems don't go away. So a lot of people try and scale their way out of a problem. And I feel like that's kind of what we were doing at that time, was trying to scale and grow. But, the problems just got bigger, not the bottom line. So that's what I would advise people now. And that's why I even wrote the book. Like, there has to be some basic just knowledge of the money and the cash is how it flows. And also like a level one of, this is the bare bones of what you could do as an entrepreneur to get it started without a lot of knowledge in finances or accounting or anything, like, to be able to get you. So I would, to get you where you want to be. So this is one thing that I would implement, like, right away back then. Just be like, okay, now our decisions are based around profitability and not just our perceived buyers at that moment. And, oh, we got to hire someone just because we think we need this seat at this time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think building the team and building that infrastructure in the beginning and making sure that you're not losing those unnecessary costs or profits. You want to make more money. You don't want to keep losing money, right? I don't remember the name.
Right.
I don't remember the name of the book, but there was a book where it was a bucket and there was just coins like falling out of it, and that's what a lot of people can go through in their business and
Oh yeah.
all the money that's flowing out. So tell us, like, what are some of the first things to really help make that cash flow go? Because everybody's got to know that David Richter wrote a book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing. You can find it on Amazon. You got to go check it out. Transforming your real estate investing business from a cash eating monster to a money making machine. Tell us, like, what that book is about and what are these first steps of really generating the cash flow in that investing business.
Okay, here we go. So you've opened the can of worms now. So let's dive into this, because I've seen why I wrote, like, if you don't mind me, I'm going to tell you why I wrote the book. It's I went from that company where we were doing 25, 30 deals a month, came up with a plan like, hey, there's some of these things, like, we could sell some of our rentals, like, we could get back to where we need to be. And then that didn't happen. So, like, I moved across the country, sold all my properties, like, and, was able to pick up and move with my wife, which, well, real estate afforded us to be able to do that. Started working with another investor, and guess what? The first thing I asked was, I want to see your numbers, because your numbers don't lie. Like, I want to know what's going on in your business. And then turns out, like, no numbers. I couldn't really, the people hadn't been putting in stuff correctly. So I was like, we got to fix this, got to get you clarity, and got to be able to, really know where you stand. So we did that. That was the first thing we did. Took, a couple months to get down in there, get it all, the system in place. And then from there, he had a bunch of clarity, but then it also revealed, like, he was super under leveraged on his property. So we were able to refinance and put a bunch of cash of his own back into his pocket to do more deals. So it was like a life-changing experience for myself. And then he told me, like, this has changed the trajectory of my family and my life. I'm like, holy crud. Like, I think more people need this. It wasn't just what I observed at that other company. Like, I believe truly that this is one of the most underserved places in the real estate marketplace, is knowing those finances, knowing what it unlocks, giving you that power and that clarity. And that's where I started. I opened up a business to be able to help people with that. And from that, we started, like, helping people know those numbers. Someone called me, though, a mentor. I had a good mentor who called me, who said, hey, have you heard of Profit First? So I read that book, deep dove into it, and said, this is a great framework for the cash flow of a business. So then we started implementing that system, the cash flow system, Profit First. And that's what, after doing that, got me on fire. Like, I got to get this message out. Like, I'm seeing the actual transformation that's happening with real estate investors, with business owners, and what that really unlocks for them. Because your profit unlocks your purpose. It unlocks why you got into business, why you wake up in the morning, why you do what you do, why, if you want to take trips with your family, if you want to be, time freedom, whatever it is that you want, profit unlocks that. And once I saw that, and, like, the power that it put in those investors' hands that were actually taking advantage of the system and getting it in their lives, I was like, oh boy, I got to get this out to more than just the people I could work with. So that's why the book, like, the book is like my love letter back to the real estate investing community that poured so much into me. And like, here, please don't live in your rat race. Don't live deal to deal. Like, please get a system to manage the money, because you can make money in real estate. If you're listening to Al and you're listening to like these people that want to help you, like they're going to help you make money. They're going to help you do deals. They're going to help you get that money in. You got to make sure that you're profitable and that you're actually keeping that money too. So this is like the finance book that isn't written in a foreign language. It's like written from an entrepreneur to two entrepreneurs, two real estate investors, two business owners, to make sure that you understand the cash. Because what it's all about, what Profit First is all about, is two key components. First, the mindset. First, it is we're fed like a totally BS formula in the business world. Sales minus expenses equals profit, meaning I make a sale, I pay everyone else and their mother, and then the profit is what I have left over, hopefully, at the end of the day, at the end of the year. And we're fed that by, accountants or bookkeepers or people in the business world that have no idea what's going on or like how to run a profitable company. And it's like, well, that sounds logical, but it puts you in bad habits, in bad spending habits and bad profitability habits. You're always thinking about paying the expenses versus having a profitable company. So it's like putting the wrong things first. Profit First puts that formula a little bit differently. It's sales minus profit equals expenses, meaning I make a sale, I take my profit first off the table to give myself that profit and give myself that space, that margin in my business to be able to scale and grow. And then the expenses are what's left over to be able to, pay the expenses of the business. So that's a huge thing, was that mindset. I was like, if I could get people to invest in that mindset and really understand what that unlocks, that will help so many people. Because it's really, I have, after working with hundreds of investors now and talking with hundreds of investors and business owners don't lose sleep most of the time. They don't lose the most sleep just because they're losing money. They lose sleep because they don't have control over their money. They don't know what to do with their money. So that's why I was like, we got to get this system out there. We got to get this message out there. I want you to listen to this if you're listening right now and getting that mindset. So that way, exactly that we need to place first things first. You have to be a profitable business. You have to make sure that you are being paid, that you're paying yourself first. So that's the first thing about Profit First, is getting that mindset inside of you. Because I talk a lot about in the book too, since I know you've read it, that the real estate rat race is real. Like, people live deal to deal all the time. There's people that, we were on that track at 25, 30 deals a month living deal to deal. So it doesn't matter if you're doing that many deals or one deal, like that's a mindset, living deal to deal. Like, I need another deal just to make ends meet. And, because you have no idea where the cash goes from there. So that's why I wrote Profit First for real estate investing. I don't want you to live deal to deal. Most people listening will want to get out of their W-2 job to jump into real estate to escape the rat race, like Robert Kiyosaki and the Cash Flow 101. They want to get out of that rat race, and then they jump into real estate and build a bigger mousetrap and a bigger hamster wheel for themselves. And they're just spinning their wheels all the time. Like, you know what? I'm just living deal to deal. So that's why I wrote it. And that's the mindset behind it. There's another big piece to it, but I'm going to take a pause here if you have any questions or want to interject anything at this point. So.
No, I mean, David, why you wrote the book, what the book means, how it started for you is inspiring for a lot of investors, because you saw something different than a lot of people and you wanted to say, let's blow it up, let's expand it, let me make a lane to help investors generate more cash flow so they're getting out of that rat race, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the rat race is like, right? I don't do any investing myself. But I see a lot of people that will go deal to deal and are struggling. They're not getting 30 deals a month. They're not getting 20 or 50 deals a month. They're literally going deal to deal and they want to get out of that position.
Yeah.
So I would say, I really want to dive in on the book the most, right? So everybody's going to check out the book. What's some of the first things that came to your mind when you started writing the book that you said, I got to make these pillars in the book and make a point that I really want to point out to investors and say, this is important for you when it comes to mindset, when it comes to gaining control? What was that?
First thing, that they're not alone. There's so many people. Money is so personal. It doesn't matter if it's your business finances, your personal finances, like money is so personal to people. And being able to put stories in of investors who have gone through those struggles and who have come out on the other side. So I think that was one of the major pillars, is just, like, it's okay to talk about this stuff. Like, you do need help, because the education that we get, like, is, if you're a real estate investor, how many courses are there, or education, or podcasts on marketing, sales, like all of this, like, you get so much stuff, but how many are there that people would actually listen to on finances, and
Right.
like that side of the business. So it's like, we get all that information, and like, from the marketing and sales, but we don't get it on the financial aspect. So I was like, I want people to know, like, that even though it's not talked about much, that they can get this information, that they're not alone, that they're probably going through a lot of the struggles that other people that now that we've worked with are admitting and openly saying, like, this is what we've struggled with cash flow, or we don't know what to do once the money comes in. So I wanted people to, number one, know they're not alone. Number two, not to be in the rat race. Like, that is so horrible to, like, to just live that deal to deal cycle, and wake up every day just thinking, man, I got to get that deal, or I'm not going to be able to put food on the table this month, or like, now I have a big team and all my team is paid but I'm not paid. So it's like, we got to get yourself out of that rat race, and that was a big thing as well too. And then I wanted to give the practical steps. I wanted to say, here's the actual system, because this is why I believe that Profit First puts itself above, like, as far as the financial aspect, from Rich Dad Poor Dad, or like the richest man in Babylon, like, they all say pay yourself first, or a portion of all you have is yours to keep. Profit First takes it a step further and says, here's a system. Here's something that will actually create the profitable habits for your business. So that was another big pillar, was I want to give people practical steps that they could take from this book, and they would be coming back to me a year later saying, I am more profitable than I have ever been, because I've actually taken some of the steps from the book. This isn't just theory, this is actual practical steps as well too. So those are some of the big things that I wanted to put in the book. And there's obviously a whole lot more that I put in there as well too,
Oh
but
yeah.
those are some of the core principles. Like, you don't have to do another deal, and you don't have to buy another rental to make more money. You need to take your profit first. You're missing out on profit that you already have, but you just need to make sure that you have a system to capture that profit. So that's kind of the core message of the book.
Yeah, no, I love it. And the book's amazing. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out and we'll make sure we put it up. David, I loved, we're not going to read the book right now, but I
Okay.
love some of the chapters that you had in there, which was paying yourself first, making sure that you're actually living and you're getting through your means,
Yep.
and not struggling on that end. That was key. Also, you're finding your real estate rhythm, right? And what you're
Yep.
good at. These are critical things that come up. And a lot of investors don't know this, right? I mean,
Yep.
these are the things that you talked about. But elaborate on that paying yourself first kind of idea, which
Okay.
because I think a lot of people when they get out of the 9 to 5, they're now of the entrepreneur mindset. They're no longer getting that steady paycheck, right? They're having to motivate themselves and inspire themselves to move up in the next levels. So
Yep.
elaborate on that.
That is the mindset, that a lot of people think they are going to have to suffer in order to have this business, or they get that general feeling, or that's where they talk to people, that are on that journey, and that's how they started. But that's not how it has to be. When you We need you as the owner to pay yourself first, to be the healthy one first. You have to set the example. Like, I don't that there's so many different ways that this can go, but you have to make sure that you're setting the example for your team too. Like, if you're going to build a team later on, they can't see you struggling, like, and see you living and gasping for air, like, that does not inspire confidence. But at the beginning, we're not Snapchat. We're not Facebook. We're not like these big places that got venture capital and like going to pour a bunch into us and like have our exorbitant salaries. We're going to have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and say, this is how we're going to make the business work and pay ourselves. And that has to be a focus, because if you're gasping for air, you're not going to be able to take your business to where you want it to. If you're always thinking, where am I going to get my next deal? Or like, where's this next paycheck coming from? Or like, if you can't, if you are draining yourself dry and you're thinking, like, and if your spouse is always nagging on you, like, what, like, how much do we have for the groceries? Are we going to have enough this month? Or like this stuff, that's going to weigh on you so much that it's going to drag you down, drag your business down. And you need to make sure that the focus is, okay, first question to ask right away, right now, if you have a business and you haven't ever asked yourself this question, what do I need? What do I need every month to bring home personally? So that way I can at least alleviate the stress at home, whether I live alone, whether I have a spouse, whether that's a business partner, like what do we need in order to sustain our lifestyle where we are right now? Or what is the bare minimum to cover our expenses every month that we won't have to worry about it? That's the first question. Because once you get to that point and you say, okay, that's 5,000 a month or 10,000 or 20,000, whatever it is for you. Once you have that number, now you have a goalpost of, okay, how many deals do I have to do if my average profit is $10,000 a deal? Or like now you have a goalpost to be able to measure against what you have to do in order to get there. So now that just gives you more clarity as the business owner. What do I need for myself to make sure that I'm not stressed out? Because if I'm stressed out, everything goes to haywire in the business. So it is not only important to pay yourself first from the aspect that yes, you need to eat, and yes, you need to take care of your family, but you need to empower yourself as the business owner to elevate to the business owner status of, I need to make sure I'm healthy. So I bring that healthy spirit and attitude to the business, make sure it's healthy, and make sure that I can grow this profitably. So pay yourself first. I could go a million different directions, but there's I have story after story too. So
I love it.
we were working with a guy that came to me and said, and I tell the story in the book too, that, I hate fixing and flipping. So he's like, I hate fixing and flipping. I'm burned out. I have some rentals. They're going okay, but man, I hate this active side. And so we dove into it. And you know why he hated it? Because he wasn't paying himself anything from that business. And it was basically paying his employees and paying his lenders and paying everyone else. But he hated it because he was still working a ton of hours for that side and getting zero return from it for him personally. And I'm like, well, if that's the case and you see no end in sight, then yes, you are going to hate fix and flipping. So it's like you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If that story does have a good ending, he worked with us, he got Profit First implemented, started paying himself from that company, transformed his business because he said, like, instead of scaling, I'm going to try and just do the deals that I need to do, and has been more profitable than he's ever been. And, like, it's those types of things that fire me up. Like, it's just the power of knowing, what do I need to pay myself? What resources do I have right now? What are the types of deals I need to do, or how many do I need to close in order to get myself the money that I need to sustain who we are as a family or as a company or whatnot, so that way I could be the leader I was meant to be for the business. So there you go. That's my monologue on paying yourself first.
I love it. I love it. I mean, whether it's your business or whether it's yourself personally, right? You have to
Hmm.
focus on the self part first, because everything else, I mean, you have to make sure you're in the right system and the right mind frame first before you start worrying about everything else. So I love that you talked about that in the book, and of course another thing that you went through, and I think these were like the key things that really came out to me, that really impacted me when I saw it in the book, was finding your real estate rhythm. What is that? Elaborate on what that means for investors out there, right? A lot of people think, well, is the rhythm just like the deal making? Is it getting in that system of we're picking up all these deals? What is that real estate rhythm?
So that goes in line with the practical steps of Profit First. So the big practical step is using a system that you're already using. So most investors do bank balance accounting, or most business owners, I should say, do bank balance accounting, meaning they don't go into a set of financials to look at where they are. They go to their bank account. It's easier, and it's just that's how they make decisions. We all make decisions on the fly, like we're go, go, go. I got to get to the next deal or whatever it is. I got to get to the next sale. So we look at our bank balances, and Profit First is all about leveraging that habit that we already have as business owners and setting up bank accounts just like the whole system is based on like the envelope method that Dave Ramsey has made popular, or other people, like your grandma, or you might, or you might put different stuff in envelopes, in order to pay your expenses. And that's the whole premise of Profit First for the practical side, because if you have one big bank account where everything goes in and everything goes out, and it's like tossing a cash salad, you have no idea, depending on what time you look at your bank account, how much is in there and what is yours, what is profit, what is, like for the expenses. You're not able to make those decisions on the fly. You just see, okay, I've got 100K in my bank account, I could spend 100K, so that's like that's how most people think about that when they have just one big bank account. So we help people split out those bank accounts into sub bank accounts that are for specific purposes for the business owner. And I'll give you the top three. The top three, the foundational accounts, the first three, I call them the golden trio, because I love movies and big epic stories and sagas like Harry Potter and Star Wars. And they have like the three main heroes like Luke, Han, and Leia, always pushing the story forward for good, to make sure that good wins in the end. So that's what their purpose is in the movies. And for you, your business, if you're a business owner, your business is your epic saga. You're living out your epic saga. That's going to be your legacy. It's your movie, like it's the thing that you're going to pass on, good or bad. And we want you to win in the end. We want you as a business owner not to lose to those expenses or those villains and go cash dry and like, where the heck did, like there's another business that bites the dust. I want you to have those heroes that are going to make sure that you win in the end. So what are those heroes? It's a profit bank account, an owner's compensation account, and an owner's tax account. Meaning the profit account to make sure that you're actually profitable, you have a cash profit, and at the end of the quarter, it's to reward yourself for having a profitable business. Use that money for whatever the heck you want, because that is actually your profit. Owner's comp is to make sure you're paid on a consistent basis. That owner's compensation account is making sure that you, the owner, are getting paid for the work you do in the business and that you're getting a consistent paycheck. Profit is more the reward. Owner's comp is more the consistency of paying yourself to make sure that you put yourself either on a W-2 in your business or consistent draws or something like that. So that way you're actually getting paid for the work that you do in the business. Then owner's tax, what's Uncle Sam's is Uncle Sam's, especially if you have an active flipping or wholesaling or an active business like that. You're going to be paying money to Uncle Sam. So you got to, if you stash that money away instead of having that money just, be something at the end of the year that your CPA tells you like, you owe this money. And then you're like, oh shoot, I got to do 4 deals. Instead of being stressed out about tax time, what if you could have that money saved throughout the year? So those are the 3 foundational accounts. And I've got stories, multiple stories about all of those. But
tell us, please.
But before I tell the stories, your question was about the rhythm. The rhythm is about transferring the money to those accounts on a consistent basis, meaning as money comes into the business, I need to transfer and now feel that control over the money by moving it into those accounts and saying, this is for profit, this is for what I'm paying myself, this is for the taxes, and this is what I have for the expenses of the business. That gives you that clarity and control over your cash now, which is one of the biggest stress factors I can tell you 100% for business owners is knowing that they have enough money to cover themselves and cover their business. So that gives you the clarity and the vision, because now you can look at your bank account and see, how much do I have for profit, for paying myself? Did we save for taxes? And do we have enough to pay the business? That's helping you keep keeping that money separate. And the rhythm is all about how often do you do that? Because you need to make it as automatic as possible. You sell a deal, the money goes into those accounts. You have rentals that come, income comes in on a monthly basis. You move that money on a monthly basis. It's like getting into the rhythm that works for you. So whether that's once a month, once a week, if you're selling a property a day, when is the money coming in? So that way you can allocate it and move it, transfer it to those different accounts, as it comes in. So that's what the real estate rhythm is all about. And, like I said, if you could just set up those accounts, that would be the greatest thing. But if you don't, if you're like, I missed that part, or 3 bank accounts, what are you talking about? Like, what I'm trying to get you to understand, if you're listening to this, is I'm trying to get you in the habit of being profitable, not just a hack or anything like that. This is to get you to get into the habits of what wealthy entrepreneurs and business owners do in order to scale and grow their businesses, and in order to be able to be sellable in the future, or to be able to get private money or whatever, is they have the reserves, they're disciplined, they have the reserves, and they build these habits of being profitable. So on every deal, you're sticking money in the profit account, you're paying yourself and making sure that you get into those good habits. So if all you did was to set up one bank account, if I could just get you to set up one bank account from here and call it profit and transfer 1%, I promise you 365 days from now, if you do that on a consistent basis from all the deals that you close, you will have more money than you've ever had as a business owner if you just start that habit. You know why? Because you'll get addicted to it. You'll get addicted to, wow, if I could do it at 1%, I could probably do 2%. And then you'll just start scaling and growing your profitability percentage. And it's like, isn't that what we're really trying to scale is our profitability? So that's like giving you the taste. If you're like, I want to jump full in, get the book, implement the stuff from the book, like go full in, go full on, and getting the best getting the best setup for yourself. Because I don't care if you're doing on your first deal or your 1,000th deal, now's the time to get control over your money and over your cash. So that's what that book's all about. And if you want even bigger returns, implement it fully. But if I could get you to just do that, I'll at least get you down the habit, the habit trail of profitability there.
I felt the passion and energy from you just now, David. That just load of like, this is the kind of stuff that you wrote this book to help investors for these reasons, right? To learn.
100,000%.
Yeah, I could tell. Like when you get really into it, I could see that that's the drive and the passion, and we love it. That's what we want to see, and we want to know about how you can make this a cash flow generating business, and investors can take so many things from it, making the accounts and doing all these things to leverage these things that he's talking about, and make it a habit of being profitable. I love it. So got amazing fans out there. I love my fans, David, because they're watching, they're commenting. Guillermo, he's been commenting about keeping separate accounts, and not just separate accounts. I keep two of my single families at different banks altogether. My duplexes are at different banks. That's amazing. And he just ordered the book too. So
awesome.
there you go. Boom.
Thanks,
there we
Guillermo.
go. All right. That's what I'm talking about. He's going to love it. And Paul Vincent's watching. What's up, man? He sees you, and Brandon Hood's on. And, I have so many fans that love what the guests bring on, and especially like Guillermo's talking about having the financial freedom without any profits. You can't do what you want without having that, right? You can't. You have to have all these steps in place. So tell us, David, how can everybody leverage this book and of course read it and take all the things that you talked about in it, but how can they even leverage it? You can't mess it up, right? You can't mess up the system. You can't mess up your rhythm. You can't mess up paying yourself and all those other steps. Like what are those next action steps that investors can take even after reading the book and taking those nuggets from it?
So yeah, that's like chapter 9. I think there's how to mess up the system, and the number one thing is not to take action, like from the book, because that's what it is. It's all about making sure that you, as the investor, you as the business owner, are taking control of your money. So that's where the practical steps come into play. Like set up those accounts like right away. Like get those accounts in place and start transferring. That's really as simple as it is. This is like level 1 business 101, that you are going to make money in real estate investing. Like I mentioned before, you're going to listen to great people like Alan. You're going to get great nuggets, and you're going to figure out how to do the business and do the sales. You need that system to catch the money. So that's where you can leverage the book. You can leverage what you're doing, and you can leverage the bank accounts, and make sure that you, as the business owner, you need to set up those accounts right away. So that's how you can leverage the book. The biggest thing you could tell me is not only did I read the book, but I set up those accounts right away, and now I'm transferring money in there. And one of the biggest questions I get is, can I do this at my first deal? Like, what if I haven't done my first deal yet? And I tell people this system is simple to set up. Now it's hard to hold accountable, and when times get tough and like the money's sitting in the account, you're like, oh, should I take it out of the tax account? Like it's like that's when it gets into like, now you know that you're crossing a different threshold. But when you first set it up, it's simple to set up the bank accounts. It's simple to get it in place. I want you, no matter, like I said, no matter where you are in your journey, to get control of your cash right now. I was on with Pace Morby. He was on my podcast about a year and a half ago, And he said, if I would have started Profit First from day one, I would have had $5 million cash in my account right now, like more than I do. Because if I would have started these habits back then on my first deal, I could have had this, where I am now. And that was like a year and a half ago. So that's probably doubled or tripled since that time. So I just don't want any investor. That's why I'm so passionate now, is that I don't want any investor listening to this to lose out on more profit that they could already be taking and implementing and getting in their business, or for them or for their family, or for, the causes that they want to invest in. So that's where the first thing that they could do to leverage the book is take those practical steps and implement them. Set up that one account, set up the account, do the things that will actually get you an actual return. Because if you have the knowledge and the mindset of, okay, I'm going to take my profit first, and you have the system to back it up, it's harder to fail. It's harder to fail because now you'll be in control of that cash and your cash flow. So that would be the first thing I would say. Leverage the book by actually taking action on the action steps inside of the book, right from those chapters.
Yeah, taking action after being immersed in all the knowledge, right? Reading the book and taking all the things that you talked about with the accounts and some of the first steps that you can do is really the first step. But a lot of people don't take action, right? So it sounds like a great plan, and it sounds like a great idea, but to take it up to that next level is huge, right? So do you get into all the relationship building and things that you can do and build with other people when it comes to the investing side? Is that something that you kind of cover?
So one of the biggest relationships to a real estate investor is their private lenders, or the money, or that side of things. And I do cover that quite extensively in there. I talk about with business partners or with hiring your team. I talk about a lot of different relationships in there, because especially your private lenders, because private lenders want to see reserves. Because I dedicate a whole chapter just to the concept of reserves, because to a real estate investor, that's like a sin, like to have any money sitting around that's not being used. And it's like, that's where I talk about how having money will get you better relationships and show people that you're actually fiscally and financially responsible, that you're responsible for your finances. And if you implement this system, like if you have a profit first system, then you could say, like, I'm going to be responsible with my money, but that shows other people, if you're responsible with your money, you'll be responsible with theirs too. Because I do give how to leverage the profit first system to like enhance your relationship with your private lenders, to make sure they know that their money is taken care of. And I talk about that in the book. And if you want to get there, that's in the middle of the book, where I talk about the OPM bucket, where you literally set up a different account other than all those fundamental accounts, an OPM for other people's money. So that way you're not mingling the money you're using to actually run your business versus the money you got for like the projects that you're running, like the real estate investing project. So like how you can tell your investors, like, hey, I'm going to set up a different account. This is where it's going to go, and I'm going to use it for this. It's like, that's just another thing to show them that you're a savvy business owner and not just a real estate investor. Because that's another thing I hit on too, is I want you to look at yourself as a business owner, not just as a real estate investor. You are running a business. Oh man, I've had so many calls this year with real estate investors, and one of them really stuck out. He's a young guy, probably in his mid 20s. He's going to make about $2 to $3 million this year in real estate investing, and doesn't have any system for the finances or anything whatsoever. And he said, I'm basically running a big side hustle. And I said, yes, like, you get it. Like, we need to run it like a business owner and really get these systems in place. And that's why I wrote the book too. I want to catch people like that before they get $2 million down the road and don't have a system like this. Because how much money is he going to leave on the table this year because he doesn't have a system like this in place? So it's like, those are the types of things that if you have that, you can leverage for the relationships in your business, outside of your business, and making sure that you as the owner are the actual, the relationship that you see with yourself as a business owner is getting strengthened as well too.
Amazing. The thing that I heard in there is controlling the chaos,
Yeah.
right? You got to loop everything in and control what's going on, because otherwise you can make $10 million, but it's a crazy business, and you're going to lose money, and You're not going to have any structure and strategy to what you're doing. So I mean, I love everything that you're saying, David. And I think a lot of investors, whether new or seasoned, can take these next steps and action steps. And first of all, going on Amazon and grabbing his book right now. It's on Amazon. And when it came out, it was, I mean, it was, what was it, #1 seller on Amazon?
Oh yeah, we hit some of those milestones and had a lot of good people out there promoting it, like from our groups and whatnot. And it's just, I think it's because the message is there. Like, please don't live in that rat race. Like, you don't have to live there. I don't care if it's your first deal, your 1,000th deal. Like I said, it's like you don't have to live there. So yeah, lots of good people. That's why I'm like, this has really been a passion project to get this out there because I do. I want to guide people out of that and save them from that heartache, and heartache and just everything that headaches and all the aches and pains that come along with business ownership from not knowing those numbers and really getting that control of your cash flow. So, yeah, it's been an incredible journey getting this book out there. It's only been out there for a couple months now too, so it's been incredible. And I need to say this. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I thought of this. Audiobook. The audiobook is releasing at the end of this month. So
Let's
it is going
go.
to be on Audible as well too. So super excited about that. I recorded it myself. So you get to hear my voice there, passionate, just ripping into the book. So I'm super excited about getting that word out as well too, because that is probably the #1 question I get asked from real estate investors is, when is it going to be on audio? I don't read books. I listen to the audio and I'm like, I'm right there with you. I've got my Audible app, and like whatnot too. So I totally get where they're coming from. That's why I recorded. So yeah, there you go. So it's going to be on Audible too by the end of this month in by March 31st or March 30th.
Nice. So it's out. Book version's definitely out. Audible's coming out. It's going to be out really soon. Can't believe it's
Yep.
almost the end of March. And
Right.
I mean, it's crazy how it's amazing success from the book that I mean you've been going on tour and talking about it and really getting the word out there with some of the biggest names. And I love everything that you're doing. And everybody's been loving the conversation tonight. Beth's watching. John's watching this. Michael, I love the fans that watch and really engage. If you have any questions, we got David live. You got anything that you want to ask him, no matter how basic. The one thing I've seen with some shows is people they don't want to ask even the simplest question, and sometimes the simplest question is the best question.
Oh
So,
yeah.
if you got something that's burning on your mind, we got David live and he'll answer it. I mean, this is the perfect time to do it. If I was in that position, and as an investor wanting to really get into that, David, let me ask you this: starting in the investing world, looking back now, what would you focus on today, knowing that like what the market's in? Like, it's on fire right now in Florida, but like, what would you focus on to start?
Oh man, what would I focus on to start? I'd set up all those systems, make sure I was keeping all my profit. So setting up profit first for sure. Man, if I could go back and do that from the beginning, I know that be a much different story for us as well too. But that would be one big thing. But as far as like actual real estate investing, I'm always partial to, wholesaling for the quick cash for the ATM. So setting up that business to make sure I could invest in the bigger deals. Like if I was starting from scratch, it would be wholesale slash seller finance, locking up deals. So that I could leverage it into like multifamily and bigger commercial deals. Because even though the market's hot right now, too, I have a lot of good friends that are in that space and doing it and killing it and partnering together on these huge deals. So that's what I would be going after right now if I were to get back into it full fledged force and right away.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, the different markets, right? The different
Yeah.
asset classes. I mean, I think the short-term Airbnb stuff is really crazy cool right now.
Hmm.
And you can get amazing cash flow from that if you have the right kind of duplex or quads, right?
Yeah, and that's a management heavy. So it's like you got to pick what are you good at? Like are you good at managing a team and like having those systems in place and those processes? Are you good at getting and locking down the deal? Are you good at big connections? So it's like really where are you coming from as well too. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to get in real estate. I see Michael has a question too. I want to
Oh,
definitely get to that one as well.
oh yeah, absolutely. So, Michael says you spoke about a team. Do you cover in your book on who you need in a team?
So, as far as that goes, I talk about who you need on your financial team because a lot of people don't cover that. But yeah, I don't go in depth on like, oh, you need an admin or an assistant or an operations person. Like that stuff is a lot covered in a lot of different books. Mine is covering the no nonsense, no fluff, no technical jargon of who do you need on your team from the financial perspective, how can they help you, and what is their role? Because a lot of people know basically what an operations person does. They know basically what their sales and marketing people do. A lot of people don't know how to hold their financial team accountable. So I do talk about that inside the book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Go check it out, Michael. I mean, it's out there. It's on Amazon. Go find it. You'll see. John says, are you doing any short-term rentals? How many short-term rentals do you have? Are you doing
As far
any?
as I go, we like Al mentioned at the beginning, done over 850 deals. I sold everything several years ago to dump into this business because I am so passionate about getting this word out. So I have sold everything at this point. Moved down to Florida recently, so that's the market that I'm looking in right now. But I do not have any short-term rentals at this time. We've had with the different places that I've worked with and the investors that I've partnered with, we've had as many as 20 going at one time. But 15 to 20, and that was crazy intense on the management side, but it was cool to go down in that rabbit hole. And we were in had these systems and processes for that. But at this time I don't have any, but definitely like the short-term rental market. I use them all the time when I go to these events. I love the Airbnbs and stuff because it's usually a lot nicer than a hotel room. That I can get more amenities and better. I could get a whole kitchen and stuff. So I'm definitely for the short-term rental market, and I think it's a great play to be in right now.
Yeah, you can get a short-term rental with a pool for less than you can get the hotel room right now.
Right? Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, that's good. Even Kobe's watching. Kobe's talking about the Fed, and he's saying it's fixing to cool off as the Fed is going to start the rate hikes. Any idea or any thoughts on like how the rate hikes or interest rates affect any profitability in the business and things to
Oh
look
yeah,
out
they
for?
definitely affects your profitability. If interest rates are higher, then you have to see what your actual cash flow is and can you still cash flow what you're wanting to. It just changes the formulas in your deal flow. But I was at a great event a few weeks ago where they were talking really in depth about the economy and the Fed, and they said the number one job of the Fed is to protect the US dollar. So, like the rate hikes or whatever, everything points back to that they are really, because the Federal Reserve is not a government institution or anything. It is a privately held like corporation that is the most powerful corporation of all time. They are selling the best selling item of all time, and that's the US dollar. And they're making sure they're selling it to the world and to us and making sure that we want it. So like all these rate hikes and stuff is all connected to that. And if they do go that route, we're just gonna have to follow the money and like just don't ever battle the Fed. You're never going to win that battle. So make sure you know what's happening there and that you're following it. So if it does cool off, honestly, I mean, it can cool off a little, but supply and demand, like that's still going to be a huge thing, even if there's rate hike. Like if the supply does not catch up to the demand that's out there, that like it's just going to stay crazy. So that's why I also think too, if we've still got the supply demand issue, like there's just so much demand out there and so little supply everywhere that's still going to keep it around for a while. I think too, as far as still, I would not cool off your investing for a while. Like I would still go gun ho. I think for the next 15, 18 months, it'll still be great. Oh,
Amazing.
there you go. I didn't even see Gina asked that question. What are your predictions on the Florida housing market? I think Florida is a great market. I think it's going to continue to be a great market, but I also think 12 to 24 months, maybe in 15 to 18 months, it might cool off and it might, like not do as well. If supply finally catches up with demand, but Florida might be one of those last markets where the demand is always going to be there and there's not going to be enough supply. Like there's so many people moving to Florida. I think it's like the number one state where people are moving to. So I think Florida could probably stretch out even more to the 24-month mark of that. So there you
Cool.
go.
And Michael, producer, asks, could someone take the principles and strategies and profit first and apply them in other industries and startups such as small filmmaking, advertising company?
Yeah, of course. The profit first principles are timeless. They're about making sure that you're paying yourself, making sure you know where your cash is moving, and making sure that you, as a business owner, are taking care of it, that you're going to have a business for a long time. So, those principles are core. So, if you have any type of business that is out there, because it's not just the real estate investing world that lives deal to deal, other people live paycheck to paycheck or film to film. Like it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You need to make sure that you take these principles, can apply them to what you're doing, and make sure that you're controlling that cash as it flows through, because that's what we're all looking for, is that control. The more control you have over that cash flow, the more control you'll be able to say, this is where we're going and this is how I want to invest in the business and whatnot. A statement that I've said quite frequently, it's not, cash is not king and cash flow is not king. Cash flow management is king. Because as long as you have cash flow management, you can move the money back to give yourself cash and give yourself that cash flow and invest for those things. But you got to make sure that you're actually managing the money as it comes through your door, because that's really what's going to give you more money at the end of the day. So in any industry, that works.
Nice. I mean, this is something that everybody can use in any business, basically, right? And no matter
Yep.
what you do, real estate. I mean, real estate's obviously like the number one, but it doesn't matter what industry you're in. So, and I love the fans. Don's watching. I see him out there, and these are great questions. So, David, thank you. You're taking so much time to answer all the fans, everybody's
Yeah.
questions, where the market's going, how do you leverage the book, and tell everybody again, how can they find the book? How can they
Yeah.
find where this is, the Audible version that's coming out? Tell everybody.
So the book can be found at Amazon or the one stop shop. If you go to simplecfosolutions.com, that's the one stop shop for everything that we're putting out. If you go to that website, there you go. We just put it on there. If you go there, that's how you can either work with us with what we do, or it has a top section there for the book. And it'll take you right to the book link or to our podcast if you want more free info, because we have a podcast that goes more in depth of more than I could go into here, for an hour, or whatnot here. So that's where, if you want to just get everything about profit first, and especially for the real estate investing industry, go to simplecfosolutions.com for all your more profitability and net bottom line needs.
Love it. Love it. David, this has been awesome. I think everybody's going to take so much from the conversation. And of course, getting the book and taking the next action steps for, taking these steps so you can apply it and move it in your business. This has been great. Make sure you connect with David out there. He's on Facebook. You're on Instagram too.
Instagram.
Follow him on
Yep.
Instagram. You have your YouTube channel?
We do have a YouTube channel, but it is not. We've just started putting our podcast on there as well too, so starting to grow that too.
Cool. No, I mean,
Yep.
that's huge. Subscribe to all his channels, follow him. Super influencer out there when it comes to this stuff. So, David, again, this book, just so you know, this book's like right here. It's like perfect. It's
Yeah.
right in front of the light, but it's absolutely perfect, and it stays there because I love having it on the shelf, and I love having you on the show. And before we wrap it up, before we conclude, tell everybody final thoughts, final words on Profit First and how you can leverage this in your real estate business. Let everybody know.
Final thought here. I'm going to beat this into your head. Make profit a habit. Go out there, open at least that one bank account, call it profit, transfer 1%, do something from this episode. Don't just listen. Don't be one of the multitude of people that listen and never take action. Take that action. Yeah, I promise you, a year from now, you'll come back and say, this helped change the trajectory of my business. I have more money in my accounts now than I've ever had by getting those habits in place. So there you go. Open that one account, transfer 1%, take action from this episode.
Love it. Make it a habit. I love it. David, you're the man. I loved having you on. Everybody,
Heck at you, Al.
love it. Love seeing you. Always put a smile on my face. So you keep going out there. You keep touring, keep promoting the book. We're going to keep promoting the book. It's going to be on the shelf, and anything we can do out there to help you, let's do it. Let's make it grow, and let's make our businesses profitable. And those are the first steps that we can do out there. So
Awesome.
loved having you on. Everybody's got to check out the replay later if you missed it or you tuned in late. So David, I'll see you soon, man. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Al. I really appreciate you. You keep spreading your message too, and can't wait to see you at the next either family mastermind or if we catch each other in Florida. So
Oh no,
really
you got
appreciate you.
it. You got it. You know that too. So I'll see you soon, man. It's gonna be great. Wow. That was electric, right? So David, I loved how like when we got halfway in the episode, you really saw that energy and passion come out about why he wrote the book, what the pillars are in the book that he talked about, and these action steps that you can take to really implement them in your real estate business. It's so important that if you caught this episode late, go back and watch it in the beginning. And all the fans out there that were commenting and asking questions, I mean, this is huge. You have a massive guest on that's bringing so much knowledge and information. This is the kind of stuff that you really want to participate in and engage with the guests. And you all did it. And I love it. And we need more of it. We need even more of what you all are doing because this is what we want. We want to learn from the best, and David's the best. So there's so many nuggets, so many things that we could talk about. Making a habit of being profitable, which was huge. Make a habit out of doing all these things. And again, you got to go find his book if you haven't checked it out yet. It's on Amazon. The Audible version's coming out, so you can even listen to it in the car. But this is the kind of guests that we have on that are dropping knowledge and bombs on the show. So if you like more of this content, make sure you go back and watch this episode with David Richter all over again. Make sure you go check it out. And all of the amazing guests that are on the Al Nicoletti Show from season 1 to season 2 to season 3. And there's so much knowledge, so much information. Make sure you go check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on Facebook, Instagram, all the micro and everything that's dropping. So much content. And again, I love you fans out there that are watching. Love it. Stay tuned for next week. We got a great guest. And it's a wrap on the Al Nicoletti Show tonight. And I will see you all next week at 8 p.m. I will see you then. Have a great night.